my goodness gracious, I've woke up this morning. I mean, the car's all covered in this white stuff. I don't know what it is. I wonder if I could put it in some drinks. Hello, neighbours. Oh, more neighbours. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. I know what it is. I know what it is. They know I'm out. I must be doing some banging, so they're going out. Anyway, back to this white stuff. Wonder if is it alright in your drinks? Right, let's go into the shed. Yeah, the safe is safe there. I've got the fire going because I'm again making some candles from cheese wax. So there's some cheese wax paper. I've just got to strain that and eat me fruit. Wife insists that I have fruit. These were on offer. Apricot in rum, in golden rum. Somehow she didn't agree with me on that. So let me do that and then we'll go into the workshop and I'll explain why. Have you got a welder? Can you just? So I've sieved that. Look at all that crap that's in there. That's unbelievable. Right. Smells quite nice in here actually, with the melted wax. Anyway, back to the job in hand. So before we go in there, I had been sawing up some wood, which meant that the whole of the floor was covered in sawdust. I was going to do a welding job, so I had a good tidy up in there first before I could even start welding, which did mean that I actually found the rest of my angel. I think probably have to need to get some glass glue, so I'm pleased about that and I might put her back to her glory. Okay, into this workshop. This bit is for CC Scraps, who bought an hammer like this at a yard sale. Well, these are what you call the rounding hammers and they're used by blacksmiths. Quite heavy and quite expensive and very collectible. This is for Cliff's Shed, who I know watches and said, could I please stick the anvil and give it a whack with an hammer. There we go. Merry Christmas, Cliff. Right, to the job in hand. Have you got a welder? Can you just? So 'twas the day after Boxing Day. Alright, we won't go ahead with that one. And I got a phone call. Friend said, I need something. And you're the first person I thought of. I said, yeah, no problem. What do you want? He says, well, the dimensions aren't critical. Okay, but I basically need a piece of pipe welding through a piece of plate with a threaded hole in it. That's 10mm, and I want 2 very close fitting discs to go inside of it. Like that. Like that. It's pretty close fitting, I think. And I'll show you how I got to do that. Yeah, no problem. You see me when I go back to work on the 4th of January. I can sort that out. He said, no, I need it today. I was like, well, what can you do? You can't let a friend down, can you? So I'm always scrapping, so to be a bit creative, you know, it's a change, and a change is as good as a rest. So I said, yeah, no problem. Give me a couple of hours to tidy up. He says, and it's a little job, and Yeah, it's dead easy, isn't it? You take a piece of tube, you know, you cut a bit off, and you take a piece of plate and you weld it up. You find the centre of the plate and you put a hole in it, thread it, tap it. Job's a good one. Making the discs were very easy for me. Yes, I have got a plasma in there somewhere, and I weren't going to spend an hour trying to find it, and then have to make out a circle cutting jig. So I just, well, I'll show you what I did. I like this metal working, but you get plenty of rubbish. So we'll get that swept up, and then we can start. So as I said, piece of tube, cut it off, draw a circle around it, centre pop it, tap it. That was a whole set of pain on itself, because the taps are kept in that drawer down there. So all that had to be moved so I could get my taps out and my tap wrench. Well, what the hell, weren't doing anything else. So I did say, I think that's about 5mm, maybe 6mm plate. I did say, not much thread there. And I think it was Raphael Scrapper who was also saying to me, not a lot of thread there. He said, in a 6mm plate. And I did offer, I have these like clench nuts. So you can drill a bigger hole, I could weld it on, and you get 10mm of thread. But he didn't want that. He wanted it flat at the bottom, which meant I could have done it, but then I would have had to have made another plate to drop in with a hole that big. But I wasn't going to that much trouble. There we go, one plate and some nicely ground welding. The discs, I said, will hold something else. Okay, and I'll do that. Yeah, just draw around that, cut it out with a grinder, and get that. But how to make that a good fit into there caused me a little bit of thinking to do. You can see, I think I've got that reasonably good fit. So how did I do that then? Well, I pondered, and upon my old woodworking days, I have this device, a centre finder. So that's simple enough, isn't it? You put it on, you draw several marks around, and where they all intersect, you tap it and you drill it. But of course, it ain't round, it's all jagged because I've done it with an angle grinder. Now yes, I know I have a lathe, a metal lathe, but that's in bits and that would take days to sort out, and this bloke, he wanted it the same day. Right, I have in fact got a woodwork in lathe, but that's under there. And again, way too much trouble. So I thought, okay, I'll grind it round. So I've got a bench grinder. It ain't much cop, but I thought it'll do the job. So I thought, well, there we go. I need a way of pivoting it. Well, I drilled a hole. So the same hole, there, like that. If I could make some sort of device, I could spin it round and it would only grind off the high points. I tried a few various things like this, but there's a little bit too much movement in it. A quick search about, I found this. It's some kind of foot device. So I did the same thing. I drilled a hole in the top of there and I did that. So that now will swivel round against the grinder at a set arc distance, and it will only grind off the high points. Eventually I'll get a circle. I had one slight problem though. I started doing that, this thing started vibrating and I was pushing against it, so it moved away. Not to be beat. Ooh. With a big 56-pound weight, half a cube. Put that against there, a block against the back, that against there. Well, it ain't going nowhere. So that can be running. And I can do me bit. You know what I found? As I was pressing against her, this thing swiveled like that. So I had to think of something else. So we searched the shed and we found a piece of plywood, another piece of plywood. We whacked that into the vise and we screwed that to that. So with that screwed to there, it ain't twisting, it ain't going nowhere. But I thought, go on, I'll actually show you what I did. So I've got this. It obviously isn't circular, but I want it circular. Again, I said you take this centre finder out of woodworking, because not all logs are they? They're round, and you draw a series of lines on and you find the centre. You give it a pop. Right. You give it a drill. Like that. I can take my device, it's the same drill bit, you stick that in there, you put that in there, and now I can spin that round on the stone. Of course I found out I hadn't made the base big enough, so I had to get another piece of plywood, put it on there, and it wasn't quite high enough, so I had to take a piece of another until I got to the centre line. Now, I don't know if you can see there what I'm doing. Bring you a little bit closer. So that little pin is pivoting on that plate, and if you can see how the gap between there, for example, is close, and yet it's further away there. So if I get, say, to that point, it's only going to grind off the high points. A bit like this. Always spin your wheels before you fire it up. Okie doke. Here we go. So, I want to make it the same diameter as the smallest part, and that's what you do. You just come along like that. And you can see, obviously, at that point it's missing till it gets to the next high point. I think you get the gist of that. Now this is only possibly 2 millimeters thick, and the one I was doing was again 6 millimeters thick. That gave me a slight problem in fact that the bevel of the stone gave me a bevel one way, so I had to continually keep turning the disc over to take the bevel off, because you can't tell, but basically it was beveled until finally I got it so that I could drop it in there, and it was a reasonably tight fit, both for that one and for that one. Simples it too friggin' hours. However, he didn't want a hole in it, so I now need to weld that all up, and that job is finished. So I guess the only thing now is to fill me hole in. Eyes. So all it takes now is to clean that little bit up. You can't hold something circular with your bare hands when you're applying something in a circular motion to it. It just spins round and flies off. So you do need to hold it with some grips. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Kind of missing something, don't you think? Much better. So there you go. One, have you got a welder? Can you adjust? I think I did a reasonably good job with the tools that I had in doing what I have. You think that's the end of the story, but oh no. So, well, my name wouldn't be Ian if it was going to be easy, would it? So the guy who phoned me up said to me, he says, can you make me this plate with a, something on it? It could have been square, didn't have to be round. I chose round. I chose round for a reason, and I'll show you this. But he said I need two, one smaller in area, not height. They both was around about 4 inches, and he left that to me to do, and that is what I did. You've seen the bigger one. The bigger one was about 4.5 inches in diameter. The smaller one, about 3 inches. I said I'll show you. Yeah, so as I said, this one which I made for him about 4.5 inches internal diameter. Okay, but he needed a smaller one, so I got this one, and that's, I don't know if you can see that so well, just a bit less than 3 inches. The difference between that one and that one is this is what you call seamless tube. You can run your finger around it. There ain't no seam in there. It's been extruded in one piece. It's what they call hot formed. It's much stronger. This, as you can see, has got a big nasty weld down the middle of it. So that was come through the factory as flat plate and then gradually formed into a circle and then welded down its entire length. Well, can you imagine the grief that one caused me? 4 inches long, yeah, that's about yay big. I had to remove that seam, and I did that with a variety of grinding stones in my drill. That one, near enough a good fit, and the rest of it on the same jig with the same grinding stone and the same bit of welding, and we got both done. The small one I did first, and that went. I just didn't have enough time to create the second disc, but he said he only needed one on that day. So there we go, job's done. So there we go, folks, job's done. Ian playing in his shed, and it's time to get the key out. This one's just for Cruiser Mac, really. I saw this in this. I saw this in the shop. I couldn't resist it. I actually do like imported beers, and this one is all the way from Istanbul. Actually quite apt, isn't it? Fabrica, because I've been fabricating. Sorry, I know that's a bit bad. So, a unique recipe since 1890. I don't remember 1890. Don't start that one. And it's been crafted in a small quarter of Istanbul called Bomonti, which you probably don't pronounce it anything like that anyway. So I've cracked that open, and that can go in the shred. Now, I shouldn't have to justify this, but I will. I've very few pleasures in my life, and having a beer is one of them. And drinking different beers from around the world is one of them. Because we have a subscriber who keeps threatening to unsubscribe because he says, my latest vids are all about drinking and beers, and it seems like you're an alcoholic. Well, I've just done 13 weeks without having a beer, so I'm not an alcoholic. But I do like a beer, or two, or three, or four, and shorts, and port, and wine, and liqueurs, and liqueur toffees. I like liqueur toffees as well. But at the same time, as Cruiser Mac starts his videos and he cracks open a beer and he tells you about it, I find that interesting. And I've got to tell you, if you see this one in the shop, leave it there, because I kind of thought it would be like that Bikel number 7. That's Cruiser Mac's favourite. But it's not. It reminds me of, and it isn't, it reminds me of a blonde beer, a wheat beer. And I'm not partial to a wheat beer in its slightest. It's, I don't know, I can't put. I've had better. Right. Yeah. Maybe it didn't travel so well. Right, that's Ian in his shed, one of his little shed adventures. And it's a couple of days yet till New Year's Eve, but let me wish you all a happy New Year. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Ta-ra from me.